This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Okay, so a new year and new rankings. This one from the WBA. As they are each and every month, they're always the first out the blocks with their new rankings. Of course, we're talking about the heavyweight division. So we have to give them a bit of props that they are always the first. They beat the rest to the punch each and every month. So congratulations to them on that. But that's about as far as it goes because their rankings are trash. We're never going to agree on anybody's rankings for sure. But the WBA over the last 18 months to 2 years have gone from not great to absolutely atrocious. Are they incompetent? Are they corrupt? Maybe both. Who knows? You decide. Now, I've invited the WBA president, Gilberto Mendoza, onto this channel for a podcast to discuss these kind of rankings, to try and justify why he allows these kind of atrocious ones to be put out, but he's ducking me. He doesn't want to do it for whatever reason. I can get most people onto the channel except him for some reason. I wonder why. Anyway, if you're a boxing fan, click the subscribe button. It's free. Turn it from red to grey. Treat yourself. It's a new year. You don't have to agree with my opinions, not at all, but you're a boxing fan, so click that subscribe button. Anyway, I'm going to go through the top 15 for the WBA in the heavyweight division, point out all the changes as I do each and every month, see what fights they've just recently had, what fights they've got coming up, try and justify some of their positions, and of course I'll give you an overall review once I'm done that. So anyway, the WBA World Heavyweight Champion is Oleksandr Usyk. Of course, he holds the WBO, IBF and IBO as well. Trevor Bryan is the WBA regular World Heavyweight Champion. Yep, Trevor Bryan. Anyway, number 1, Daniel Dubois. Number 2, Michael Hunter. Number 3, Robert Helenius. Number 4, Hughie Fury. Number 5, Anthony Joshua. Number 6, Deontay Wilder. Number 7, Ajit Kabayel. Number 8, Arsenbek Makhmudov. Number 9, Saan Kostabuski. Number 10, Martin Bakole. Number 11, Andy Ruiz Jr. Number 12, Filip Hrgovic. Number 13, Jonathan Guidry. Number 14, Joseph Parker. And number 15, Tony Yoka. So there you go. That's the new top 15. So obvious changes. Firstly, Manuel Charr, not mentioned anymore. He was previously the WBA regular champion in recess after the WBA stripped him and allowed Trevor Bryan to take on Bermane Stiverne. Both happen to be Don King fighters, right? Go figure. Anyway, the WBA have apparently been sued by Trevor Bryan as Don King, so I'm led to believe. But now he's no longer champion in recess by the looks of it. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe they've settled. Maybe Trevor Bryan won the case, Don King won the case, WBA won the case, Manuel Charr, who knows? Maybe it's still going through. No idea on that particular situation. I'll have to investigate it. But that's one change. Another change, fresh insert, Jonathan Guidry. I don't know if I said his name right, but he's currently 17-0 with 2 draws. He's an American heavyweight, big old beard on him. Out of those 17 wins, 10 of those by knockout. Now, he is only doing 8-rounders, so for 19 fights in, I don't really know why he's only doing 8-rounders, but as I said before, he does have 2 draws. In fact, one of his wins was against Dustin Nichols. You remember him? Big old guy, looked a bit like Butterbean, somewhere between Butterbean and Yokozuna. In fact, he took on Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder, early on in his career, Wilder, I think that was his 10th or 11th fight, something like that, where Dustin Nichols actually dropped Wilder in that fight. The referee didn't count it. He should have done, but he didn't. But it doesn't really matter. Wilder smoothed him out anyway. But Jonathan Guidry knocked him out in round number 1 in 2019. So not that long ago, really. Not long ago. So anyway, he's a fresh insert. So it is good to see American heavyweights up there. Names that we're not too familiar with. We'll have to wait and find out if the likes of Jared Anderson and Jonathan Price and that start getting ranked in that as well. We'll have to wait and see. So it is good to see an American heavyweight on there. Other changes, Andy Ruiz Jr., he's been dropped from number 8 down to number 11. I can only presume that it's down to inactivity. They're not going to totally drop him, are they? Of course not. He's a PBC fighter. The WBA, PBC seem to have a fantastic relationship. Is it something that should be investigated? I don't know. I have no idea. But Andy Ruiz Jr., I can only presume, has been dropped from number 8 down to number 11 due to inactivity. Last time he had a fight was against Chris Arreola. So it's quite some time ago now, beginning of last year. We do know that he was He did have a bit of surgery. I'm presuming that he's okay now, because there has been quite some time, and there has been talk about him taking on maybe a Luis Ortiz or a Wilder or something like that. So we'll really have to wait and find out. Filip Hrgović, number 12. Now, is that a waste of a ranking? And I say that only because we know he's going down the IBF route. We know that because he's in the IBF final eliminator. So whoever he fights, should he win, he'll become the IBF mandatory. Kalasauran told me a few days ago that the winner of Luis Ortiz and Charles Martin would become Filip Hrgović, his next opponent. Turned out to be Luis Ortiz. Apparently Luis Ortiz has ducked him, declined the fight totally. So now they're looking at a Joseph Parker fight. Now, I've done a previous video on that one, so check out that one once I upload it. Now, no real big changes. Of course, you can look at, say, number 5, Anthony Joshua, and number 6, Deontay Wilder. Are they ranked a little bit too low? I'll say Joshua certainly ranked a bit low and very disrespectful, considering that he has been representing the WBA in every single one of his fights ever since he defeated Vladimir Klitschko. So he takes one loss on points to a pound-for-pound fighter, Oleksandr Usyk, and he gets bumped down to number 5. Disrespectful. Wilder, should he be a little bit higher? Arguably, of course. He was a 5-6 year reigning WBC World Heavyweight Champion, but he has had back-to-back knockout defeats to Tyson Fury. Is that a little bit low? Maybe, arguably. Number 1, Daniel Dubois. Now, Daniel Dubois, he's going to be out next, I believe, March time, because Frank Warren, he's not going to put any shows in January of this month, obviously because he's not allowed to with the British Box Board of Control. No boxing allowed, even though other sports are allowed, right? But no boxing allowed in the month of January, but they are allowed to return in February. But Frank Warren has made the decision to not put on or schedule anything for February, just in case there's an extension to it. Okay, but I believe Daniel Dubois will be out in March. Will it be against the WBA regular World Heavyweight Champion, Trevor Bryan? That's going to be interesting in itself. Frank Warren and Don King. We know a little bit about their history, so that'll be very interesting. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for some of their talks. But should Daniel Dubois get a shot at Trevor Bryan? Well, it's a baby belt that no one really cares about, but it is legitimately a world championship belt. That's the one with the history, okay? When you look at some of the past greats who held the WBA belt, it's that particular belt that they've held. The super belt is actually quite new, or relatively new. So that's going to be interesting because Daniel Dubois, obviously, he lost to Joe Joyce. He's had 2 bounce-back fights, but the reason why he's in this position is because his first bounce-back fight was against Bogdan Dinu. Bogdan Dinu, of course, should not have been number 1. No way should he have been. In his last 4 fights, he lost 2 of them. But they ranked him number 1. Why? Because he's paying high sanction fees, which is why I've been going in on the WBA, among many other reasons. But Dubois, since then, he has fought another guy, some Italian-American guy, I forgot his name. That was on a Jake Paul undercard. So we'll really have to wait and see what happens with Daniel Dubois. Number 2, Michael Hunter. I think that's too high considering his last fight against, was it Forrest? I think his name was. A guy who he previously defeated, he got a draw. That was in his last fight only a couple of weeks ago. Arguably lost that fight. So is that a little bit too high? You would say so, especially as Michael Hunter is turning down a lot of fights. But as I said before, it's good to have an American in the top 15 of the rankings. Of course, they have great history with the heavyweight division, but I think that's a little too high for a Michael Hunter. Robert Helenius is the WBA gold champion. Will he be fighting Tyson Fury next while we wait for the whole Dillian Whyte situation to sort out? Maybe. We'll have to wait and find out about that. But of course, that will be for the WBC belt. No, sorry, it won't be WBC. It'll be for Ring Magazine. But Fury won't be defending his WBC against Robert Helenius. But Helenius, 2 back-to-back wins over Adam Kalnacki. So we'll have to wait and find out what his next move will be. If it's not going to be a Tyson Fury, I imagine it's probably going to be maybe a Luis Ortiz or a Deontay Wilder or Andy Ruiz Jr. They'll try and keep the PBC in-house fights in-house as best they possibly can. Hughie Fury, of course, he's number 4. Hughie Fury, I saw his last fight live. I was ringside there for it when I was part of the boxing media team. And he put on a great performance against Christian Hammer, as was expected. Unfortunately, it didn't go too many rounds after Christian Hammer quit. But I'd love to see Hughie Fury take on somebody in this top 15. Sky Sports have the budget. He's willing to do it. I know that he is, as is Peter Fury. So I'd love to see him take on somebody in the top 15. Don't really care who, just somebody. Number 10, Martin Bacoli, and number 15, Tony Yoka. They did have a fight penciled in for this month, but of course, due to the restrictions and the lockdowns and whatever else happening in France, that fight will no longer be happening in January. Will they reschedule it? We have to wait and find out. So that is pretty much a review of the WBA. Not great at all. For example, where's the likes of Joe Joyce? Where's he? He should be here, shouldn't he? Surely. As should quite a few other fighters. And I know some people will ask the question, why is Tyson Fury not here? Because he's WBC World Heavyweight Champion, that's why he's not ranked here. Same with Dillian Whyte, he's WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champion, that's why he is not ranked here as well. The WBA, IBF and WBO see Dillian Whyte as a World Champion, that's why he's not ranked here. Should Luis Ortiz be on here? I mean, he does just come off of a win over Charles Martin, so arguably he should be. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that is the top 15 for the WBA. Not great. I think that they are the worst out of all of them when it comes to their rankings, but they are far better than what they have been over the last several months. For sure. But Mark Demori, he's no longer there. I forgot to mention that. It just popped into my head now. Mark Demori, a guy in his last fight who he, again, very, very short round fights that he seems to be having against Journeyman, he defeated a guy who he's defeated twice already by knockout. But yet somehow he was ranked right the way up there in the WBA. But over the last few months, he's been dropping down a place here or there, obviously because he hasn't been fighting. And last month, he was ranked at number 15. Now he's not there at all. Good. Mark Demori, he was there for cannon fodder for quite a lot of people. That's why he was there. The WBA were in on it. You can guarantee they were in on it. But the athletic commissions, most notably the New York State Athletic Commission, refused to sanction a Mark Demori fight due to him being in complete mismatches, as in Michael Hunter tried to fight him. That was a complete mismatch. But there again, looking back on Michael Hunter's last performance, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.